People stand up and chant loud when he walks down the aisle. 100% high for talent. Grapples on the mat, high flies and does death matches. Second time in TOT, exile, brain damage through a hard fist to the chin. Drew a gallon of ooze from the forehead. A short thread of skin blows in the wind. It's dangling, fierce lines flashing from the Drake's land, and you got both of your arms locked in. Like David Lynch in the race ahead. All the huge cuts make you produce a trend. The land gasping for oxygen, breathe it all in. Take a bump like Gage where the tubes are sanding. The shit's insane when I'm parked at ringside. Drake met damage again at TOT 9. Many federations he's appeared in. CZW and Absolute Intense Wrestling, the king of Naptown, he has been crowned. From Philly to Japan, people stand in the crowd. Every match tears it up with suplex variations. Fortune limitations every time you're spectating. When he hit the scene, he was a hybrid sensation. Power slam through a table off of the apron. Him and JC Bailey pulled off moves that were amazing. Flapjack or a rolling fireman's carry slam. Even to this day, new gold he accumulates. Junior heavyweight, the latest title in his case.
All right, guys, have you seen that intro? We don't need another intro, but we got the psycho shooter, Drake Younger. A lot of you all know that he was signed the last, 5, 6 years. Our fallen brother, the admin, Vic Philpott, actually contacted Drake for a good while and was working on this show. So this show's definitely for Vic. I know Vic would be smiling so much right now to know that Drake Younger's finally on the death hour. That's definitely a great moment for that. So let's introduce him. Let's bring him in here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, brother. Oh, fantastic, man. Blessed to be here. And you took me down memory lane with that music video. And like you said, Vic had been working on getting me on here for a while. Vic was the super fan, super good brother, always at all the shows, man. He was excellent person. So he's greatly missed, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. He told me many times that he had contacted you and it was all contractual things where you had to get it approved. And of course you couldn't do anything you wanted to just on your own. So it's glad that we finally got you here.
For sure, man. Everything works out. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks for everybody that's tuned in. Of course, if you have any questions, you can bubble those up. I've got plenty of questions ready to go. Let's basically start, with your younger life and what really got you into this stuff. What got you into wrestling?
Yeah, man. I grew up in Southern Indiana. I was born in 1984, right when Hulkamania took off. So I was growing up in the midst of the rock and wrestling era. Every Saturday morning, spending hours in front of the television. Every Sunday, spending hours in front of the television. Went to a lot of shows in Indiana as a fan, at Roberts Stadium and then Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. What really got me, really enthralled into the business was WrestleMania 8. I went to WrestleMania 8. That was at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana. And the match that really stuck out to me was Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart. And I remember even as an 8-year-old fan, and I mean, we had like the cheap seats, like way up in the rafters, but you could still kind of see it on the closeness of the match, pardon me, on the big screen. So that in that match, Bret Hart actually was bleeding, and you didn't see that a whole lot then in 1992. It was kind of, I think they actually had a no juice policy at that time. But me as an 8-year-old just realizing like, oh, wow, he's bleeding, and like added to the emotion of the match. And at that moment, I was like, okay, I want to do this. And so, fast forward to 2000, started going to local shows as a fan, went down to Southern Indiana, IWA Mid-South, went to watch shows there. And that's where I got exposed to the deathmatch wrestling. And, man, just fell in love with that, with the excitement of it. And I started training in 2002. Just kind of wrestling like once or twice a month here and there. And then in 2006, kind of when I dove into deathmatch wrestling was the king of the death matches that year. Because I remember that year, Ethan Lawton had put out that it was going to be a 2-day 28. He was going to use 28 guys. So he needed some dudes. And like I was nobody at the time. I mean, I was just a 40-miler, like nothing. But I was like, all right, let me give a serious shot at this. So I just
Was that
picked up.
whenever you got to meet J.C. Bailey?
I knew him prior. I knew
You
him
knew
prior
him
for
early?
yeah, yeah. We were super close. We met through IPW in Indianapolis, smaller company in Indianapolis that a lot of guys think came through. But
I got
said, hey, Ian, I'd love to do King of the Death matches. He's like, yeah, sure, kiddo, come on down. And then the second day, he pulled me and JC Bailey aside. He said, hey, would you guys be willing to do barefoot thumbtacks tonight? And like and in my mind, because the DVD market was hot at the time. If you could get on a Smart Mark Video DVD and get distributed, like that was like really good exposure. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And I knew that I was going to be in there with JC, and he was the man. For anybody that isn't hip to his matches, like go back and watch his. He was really ahead of his time. One of the best,
all-time greatest, man, no doubt.
Yeah, great person, and still, and you know, of course, we've lost a lot of brothers, but that one really, you know, sticks to me to this day. But yeah, we did the barefoot thumbtacks match, and then the rest, as they say, is history. Oh wow, look at that picture. God rest his soul, Danny Havoc. Man, what great time.
Yes, sir. See, yeah, we're definitely going to bring you down memory lanes. Stuff was quite some time ago, and I think it's been some time since you've really got to dip into it. So I think that's great.
That's awesome, man. But yeah, that's my foray into the business, and then furthermore, how I jumped into the deathmatch world.
Right. So one thing you didn't mention, I read something about a backyard wrestling fed called Crazy Ass Wrestling.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. Early 2001, I think it said it was.
Yeah, we actually started it in late '99. I mean, at that time, backyard wrestling was the rage. You know, I think the most famous backyard wrestlers at that time, you know, because the Hardy Boys were already gone to WWF, but M-Dog 20 and Josh Prohibition, they were like the big buzz in the backyard wrestling scene.
Right, I mean, even there was video games, so it was huge then.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we had a crazy ass wrestling out of Indianapolis. Diehard Dustin Lee was the guy that started that up, and we got some like local buzz. We got, you know, it was Indianapolis. It's a pretty big city, but we got in the Indianapolis Star, the newspaper, and then we eventually got on the local news. And I remember we all pitched in, and we rented an actual venue and rented a ring, and we were like, okay, we're retiring from the backyard and we're going pro now. But
do you think there's any footage of that out there anywhere?
Oh man, you know, the clip of us on the news is on YouTube. It is. Yep.
That's awesome.
If you type in like Drake Younger backyard wrestling, it's on there.
Right. And then so you mentioned that it didn't really get started off until 2006. I did read that in 2002 you were in a pretty bad car accident that caused you to miss some time.
Yeah.
And there was actually a gash that a lot of people believe was probably from the death matches you did, but it was actually from that car accident, right?
Yeah, the main, so it's this one here on my left arm that a lot of people see. There are a lot of deathmatch scars that came after that.
Right.
In this, I don't know if you can see it in that light there, but it's in all the pictures. I did add a lot of coverage to this arm. But
No
yeah,
doubt.
2003, I fell asleep. I just was driving from one town to the next. You know, just fell asleep at the wheel for like 2 seconds and crashed into this big dually truck, totaled my car, and yeah, man, that sucked.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But I got
actually
some
had
sweet
a really
stuff.
close friend that just got smashed by a big truck yesterday, and it definitely makes you count your blessings and makes you appreciate everything, every moment. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Is he okay?
Yeah, no, he's okay. Yeah, he
Okay.
went and got checked up and got X-rays, and he's just banged up. But very fortunate day. It was awesome.
Yeah, and they, you know, the doctor said because I was asleep, my body just kind of went with the motion. Like if I was awake, I would have tensed up, and it could have been much worse. But
that was kind of with him too. It was early in the morning, so they said he was relaxed and he didn't tense up, and he just got totally just hit from behind and didn't expect it. So, you know, whenever you tense up, that's when you hurt the most. That's for sure.
Yeah, I got some sweet scars out of it though.
Right. So fast forward to 2006. You already mentioned King of the Death. Also in 2006, you made your debut for CZW, correct? TOD 5. And in that tournament, you went all the way to the finals. And was that the first time you met Gage, I assume?
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the first time. Yeah, that was awesome. So out of the King of the Death matches, Wax, Mark Pantalone, who took all the pictures for CZW, he was there at King of the Death, and he told Zandig about me, and then the footage had come out about that from King of the Death. And I'll never forget, I was sitting on my computer on MySpace. For the kids these days, that's how a lot of us got booked back in the day, was MySpace.
Hey, I've never had a MySpace.
Pardon?
I've never had a MySpace.
You never had? How old are you?
22.
Yeah, no, yeah, you definitely weren't around for MySpace.
No,
yeah,
sir.
so that's how we got booked, a lot of us, because we couldn't keep a working phone number. And so I got a MySpace message from Wax, and he said, "Hey, Zandig wants to book you for Tournament of Death." And I didn't believe it. I was like, "What?" And then sure enough, man, he booked me, and I'll never forget, man. I drove out to Delaware, 13 hours. I didn't know how much money I was going to make. Like, there was no guarantee, nothing like that at all. I just knew that I was going to go wrestle at the Tournament of Death. Like, a couple of months earlier, I was geeking out over CZW highlight videos on YouTube, and now I'm going to wrestle for him in Tournament of Death. And so I went out there, and luckily JC was there, so he kind of gave me the lay of the land as far as CZW was concerned. And I met Gage there in the back, and it was cool. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He goes, "Hey, you do some flips, right?" Yeah. I was like, "I can, I guess." I'm not like a big high flyer, but sure. And lo and behold, I don't know what made Zandig choose this, but he had me go all the way to the finals in my debut. I got to be in the ring with Lobo that day. I got to be in the ring with JC Bailey 3 times. That's the first time I met Danny Havoc. Got to be in the ring with Danny Havoc that day. Brain Damage was in there with Brain Damage as well. Look at that finals. It was me, Nick Gage, Brain Damage, and JC, if I'm not mistaken. Gosh, I'm incredibly lucky to be in there with those 3 guys. 2 of them unfortunately are no longer with us, but couldn't ask for a better opportunity on a debut. I got three chances to go out there and make the most of the opportunity. And Zandig gave me my bloody envelope with my money in it at the end of the night. And the next day, when I was driving back home, I got a call from the Dig. It's one of the 2 or 3 times I ever talked to him on the phone in my life. And he said he was going to start sending me a plane ticket, and he was going to fly me out to the ECW arena the next month. And that's the first time a promoter ever bought me a plane ticket for wrestling. Like, I was so excited. And man, I was like, wow, here we go. Like, I'm full-time in CZW now.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that's what really took your career off, or would you say it was the King of the Death exposure?
King of the Death got me to CZW. Tournament of Death solidified me.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And another thing I was going to ask, to rewind just a little bit, whenever you started training, was your exposure to Ray's Dojo first or to Ian first?
Ray's Dojo, American Kickboxer. Like I said, we were part of a local outfit called IPW, Insanity Pro Wrestling. And I certainly don't advise this for any promoters. I mean, it was a different time back then in 2002. But we weren't properly trained at all. They just saw some of our clips from the backyard stuff, and they knew we could take bumps, so they just put us on shows. And then American Kickboxer came, and he would actually come early, and then he would take us to Evansville, Indiana every Wednesday night, and that's when we got properly trained. It was kind of like on-the-job training, you know what I mean? Which is a lot of times I think the best way to learn. You go to the show early, hours early, you set up the ring, you run the stairs, you do your hundreds of thousands of squats, get in there, take bumps, blow up, you do the show, take the ring down, and then you sit in the car, ears open, mouth shut, you listen to the veteran, and then that was kind of the best way for me to learn. You know what I mean?
And do you credit Ian with a lot of that as well, though?
Pardon?
Do you credit Ian with a lot of the training stuff as well? Did he do a lot of one-on-one with you, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, we started going to IWA Mid-South, and then I trained with Ian and Chris Hero. Chris Hero was there as well. So yeah, that was it. That was a really great education. At that time, they had a building in Clarksville, Indiana. And I just kind of want to paint the picture that for the folks out there. there was two separate dressing rooms, and like you where baby faces were on one, heels were on the other. And this was before everybody had a cell phone. This is early 2003. I mean, very few people had cell phones. So a lot of times if somebody was running late, you wouldn't see the guy you were working with until you got in the ring. So that was the first time I was ever had a situation like that where I just got in the ring and the referee comes up and is checking me and he's like, hey, he's going to jump you and then duck one, toss, tackle, drop down. I'm like, what? What are you? Wow. You know what I mean? Just like a nervous wreck. But that was cool too, just kind of put it in perspective,
Ian still says to this day that that's the best way for these guys to learn is to be put in that position to where there was no going over it beforehand, just figure it out.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's how you learn to fall on your face, and then you kind of get the feel of the crowd more than going A to Z,
Right. So to spice things up a little bit for everybody that's in here, speaking of Ian Rotten, you made some comments about today's locker room compared to the old days. What do you think the major differences are that would make his locker room soft, you say?
So, look, not every single person in there is soft, all right? That was a private conversation between Ian and I after I left WWE. And what I felt is, all that I've done for that company, all the blood that I spilled, and I was very, very loyal to him for an incredibly long time when a lot of people weren't. And I stood up for him and stuck up for him a lot. And what I felt is he took a private conversation between him and I, two grown men, that was a great conversation. And he took that and he made a point to go out in the public. And because of my political beliefs, because of my faith, whatever it may be, he made it a point to say, hey guys, don't worry, I'm not going to bring Drake in. Like, we hypothetically talked about some stuff, but I just felt that he went on a virtue signaling campaign. And from what he had told me, there are some people in his locker room that were like, oh, if you bring him in, I'm going to quit, and this, that, and the other. And I told this to him, and I made sure to put it in my post. Like, back in the day, you never would have had that. It didn't matter what you believed, and it's how it should be. What you believe, who you voted for, who you prayed to, it doesn't matter. Like, in the business, you leave that at the door, you come in and you do business. And, especially, I just felt for somebody like me that's giving so much to IWA, championed IWA around the world for a long time, and when it was in a very down time, really went out of my way to represent IWA. I just, I felt like he just tried to have this kind of virtue signaling stuff where he's like, oh, hey, look at me, don't worry, I'm not going to bring Drake in. I know, like he's one of my best buddies, but hey, I'm not going to bring him in. Ian's on a short list of people. I told my wife, like, hey, if anything ever happens to me, family needs help, call these people. Ian was one of them. So, I felt like he kind of took a different route with that. Look, at the end of the day, Ian could call me tomorrow. It'd be all good. I mean, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just disagree with the way that he went about taking a private conversation between he and I and making sure everybody knew that he was siding with whoever in his locker room has their feelings hurt about whatever I believe.
I got you. And so I thought it was maybe similar to like The Undertaker made some comments about wrestling being soft today. So
yeah. I mean, it's definitely changed. That's for sure.
Right. I mean, it definitely has.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember Ian saying
like,
something about if I remember he always said that if you couldn't get along with Drake, then you were the asshole. So I don't know.
Like I said, man,
a lot of people may be assholes now.
I don't pay attention to it anymore, man. Like I said, like I've given my life and my body to the business, and what I do in my civic involvement and what I'm involved in politically, that has nothing to do with what I've done in wrestling. And going to back in the day, you never would have had somebody like Bull Payne or Necro or Low Key or anybody. They never would have like went to Ian and said, "Oh, I don't like what this guy stands for. You better not bring him in, or I'm going to quit." It's just a different dynamic. And hey, maybe times have changed maybe that's just how the business is, and maybe it's passed me by. I don't know. But to answer your question, I hope that kind of gives you some clarity.
Right. I got you. That's a good question by Eric Montgomery. There, did you ever see that when Randy West paid homage to you a few years ago at Queen of the
I
Death?
did. Somebody showed me a picture of it. That was incredible. I remember I messaged her on Messenger at the time. That was so awesome. Like
Yeah,
I was
that was
very
for
humbled
sure.
by that. It was so cool. So cool. I'm seeing the chats. Did I see Boris Black pop through on there?
I think
Boris
you
Black,
did.
the mobbed up Russian. I stayed with him in Chicago, man. I love Boris Black.
Yep, there he is.
There he is, my brother, the mobbed up Russian. Miss you too, Boris Black. Hope all is well up there, man.
All right, so to get back into things, we talked about a little bit the things you did in 2006. It seems 2007 was actually a really big year for you.
Yeah.
It says here you won the TOD 6. You were the winner of that final with Brain Damage. Was that the show that you had the light tube injury with the like Nick Gage similar?
That's where I almost lost my nipple.
So that was in the finals, right?
Yeah. 2007 was a great year, but it was the year I went to the hospital more than any other year.
Crazy how that works, right?
Yeah. But no, 2007 was incredible. And, I was fortunate enough to have the honors of winning TOD that year. It was me and Brain Damage in the finals. And very similar to what happened. Oh, yeah, there it is. So we're going back and forth. I was trying to go through the ropes right there. My leg got caught on the middle rope. As you can see, I went right there, scraped over my nipple. It certainly wasn't as bad as Gage a couple years later, but similar type of scenario.
I was wondering, are those skinny tubes in that video?
No, those are the real deal ones. I just got, wow, look at that. God, man, I miss him so much.
Yeah, it's another one we lost way too soon.
He was great. God, so many guys are gone.
There it is.
Oof, look at that. Yeah, the CZW nurse was awesome. She stitched me up, glued me up. Rock also, God rest his soul. He was part of the CZW, the kayfabe nurse team, kayfabe medical team. There's Scrawny Shawnee taping me up with a piece of fabric T-shirt and some silver duct tape. What a life, bro! Kill, man. That's awesome.
Do you remember how much longer that match went? I mean, a lot of times that match is over right then.
No, dude. I mean, we did at least another 15 or so. Yeah. Yeah. No, there ain't no, dude. Ain't no. It's finals of TOD. Ain't no way I'm stopping. Same thing. I mean, you saw Nikki a couple years later. He was still trying to go out to the ring, and he's like bleeding to death. I mean, that's just the nature. First off, just to be involved in pro wrestling in and of itself, you're a different breed of person. To take it so far as to be involved in deathmatch wrestling, you are an incredibly different breed of person. You have to have something in you that nobody else has. So, man, 2007 was a great year. Each and every single week, man. I mean, that's when it really picked up. I was doing 3 or 4 death matches a week, actually, a lot of times.
Right. It also says 2007 you won the IWA Mid-South Death Match title. That was the first one that they ever gave.
Yeah. And I also that year I did at the CZW Best of the Best. I wrestled Joker that year, and they used to have an award called the People's Choice thing, and the fans elected me to win the People's Choice. So that was like 1 week after 1 or 2 weeks after TOD. They might have been the very next week, but I was very, I stay pretty humble about stuff that I've done in wrestling, but that I was pretty proud of because like. The week before, I did 3 death matches, almost lost my nipple, 1 TOD, like a tournament of death, like straight death match guy. And then the very next week, Zandig, puts me in the best of the best. And, no weapons, no light tubes, none of that, just straight up wrestling. And got to make I was passable, to make a good impression. And the people gave me, elected me to win the People's Choice Trophy. So that was a great honor for me. I always wanted to. Anytime I had a chance to do some regular wrestling, I always wanted to do it for the deathmatch guys. You know what I mean? To show them like, hey, screw you, we can work too.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen where Jake Christ made some comments. I thought it was actually a funny thing in the recent Q&A over the King of the Death where he said, basically, if you take some crack and you take 2 crackheads and you put it in the ring, that's going to be a 5-star death match. You're not going to wrestle like Ricky Steamboat or Ric Flair. was basically what he was getting at, which is
Wow.
funny. He's a heel, and it's funny. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think there's definitely a lot of hybrid dudes out there that can do both, but nobody really like Drake Younger.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
And I mean, I
I
think that
appreciate that.
shows. Like, I mean, because you're the only guy that's won the King of the Death and the TPI, and you've won the TOD and the Best of the Best. So,
Yeah, that's right.
so somebody else does that.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take those accolades. But I was very blessed, man. Very blessed. I got to be in the ring with some great talent.
Right. Let's see here.
But yeah,
Talk
07
about
was
the
wild.
injury
That's
with
when I started
Wax.
traveling internationally too. You know, going to Germany and stuff. So
Now, did you have a Japan run?
yeah, I had a great Japan run, but it wasn't until 2011, 2012, 13.
Yeah, for some reason I couldn't find a lot about it. Like I could see some photos but I couldn't find like a lot of matches or anything like that.
Yeah, it was incredible over there. And I got the chance to represent CCW the main event at Korakuen Hall against Abdullah Kobayashi. So that was
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And almost every tour that I went over there on, Danny Havoc was with me. So we were like the wild outcast, outlaw Americans over there in Japan and the BJW. So that was incredible, man. Just to have those memories with him,
Right. Man, I've got to make it to Japan. It's just totally different over there. It's a totally different spectrum.
Yeah. I remember it just having it was this cool kind of culture shock because wrestling in general, but deathmatch wrestling was like elevated and respected. Like it was treated like, covered in the magazines like a sport. I remember we would walk into the restaurants and be treated to whatever, everything was on the house, and the sponsors were just really appreciative of the deathmatch guys. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, And there was a couple tours where I was over there for 6 weeks at a time. So really got ingrained into the culture.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question there by Glenn Shaw. He says, Drake, who was your favorite wrestler to work with? I actually had that wrote down myself. So.
Oh, wow. I really had some great ones with Scotty Vortex. And I think that goes back to him and I just being such close friends and growing up together. Yeah, I really enjoyed my matches with Scotty Vortex. That was a lot of fun. As far as non-deathmatch stuff, in my PWG run, the matches I had with Adam Cole were some of my favorites.
I got you.
Yep.
Speaking of Scotty Vortex, there's a clip that we showed pretty recently where you all had a match and there was a pane of glass that wasn't safe. And there were some rumors that there was some backstage confrontation. And can you just talk about all of that whole incident? Yeah,
that was the Tangled Web match, the big blow-off match we had. Oh, here it is. Hey, we were proud that we had a great crowd that night at the arena. It was the biggest one we had in a while. Bam.
Oh,
yep.
Man.
So,
you can see Brett Lauderdale freaking out immediately.
Yeah, well, we knew immediately because it didn't break the way it was supposed to. And you can see his reaction. Like he's just checking to make sure he's alive.
Yeah, very fortunate. I mean, I don't even really see anything going on. Was he perfectly fine?
His hands was cut really bad.
I got you. I figured he was somewhere because I know how that shit goes.
Yeah, his hands. You can see Brett. So he was telling Brett to buy some time. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, shortly thereafter, Drew Blood or some other referees came in, and I threw Maven out of the ring and gave somebody a pile driver. I don't know, just to buy some time. But backstage confrontation, I got heated at DJ. Obviously after a match, the adrenaline's up anyway. I don't know if it was who got the glass, but they got that particular sheet of glass was the wrong kind of glass. And he just kind of could have died.
And it was your close friend at that point as well. I've been in that point, where I have a close buddy in the ring and there's unsafe glass and I'm outraged. So. Yep,
exactly. Yeah. So I was hot. And, but I will say to DJ's credit, he obviously super apologetic, but Scotty had to have some surgery. DJ took care of it. All the kind of aftercare and all that, DJ totally took care of it. So I got to give credit to him in that regard.
Awesome.
So he
Something was
owned up
brought
to
to
his
my
mistake.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Something was brought to my attention earlier today that you had some issues with Scotty. Is that not true?
Oh my gosh, no, we're like best of buddies.
Still to this day?
Oh yeah, no, my
Awesome.
gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I had it wrote down because it was brought to my attention that somebody said you all had beef. You know how that goes.
No, never. Gosh,
Not
no.
at all.
No. Like we're both. I mean, we talk. We'll text at least a few times a month. I mean, we both got incredibly busy lives. We're both fathers. You know, we both got a bunch of kids now. So he lives in Indiana. I live in Florida. You know, we both got a lot going on in our civilian life that we're living nowadays. But no, we totally keep in touch. Him, OMG, like absolutely not. Love those guys.
Awesome. So we just mentioned Brett Lauderdale as he reffed a lot of your matches. Have you kept in touch with GCW at all?
Yeah, Brett did ref a lot. Brett was in there for a lot of my matches. I always enjoyed having him in there. He was it's always, you know, and as I went on to become a referee, like you realize that the chemistry that you have with a good referee, and it just helps out, makes the match more comfortable, especially in a death match environment. You know they're going to be there for you. They're going to check on you. They're going to take care of you, stuff like that. Throughout my time in WWE, I kept in touch with Lauderdale, absolutely, and just would always message him because, you know, when you're in the WWE bubble, you certainly don't see what else is going on very often. But you know, I would hear the buzz about Game Changer and how it was kind of taken off and almost, you know, for lack of a better term, just becoming what the old school CZW was, but taking it to a whole nother level. Even bigger. And so, yeah, I would message Brett. He would message me throughout my time in WWE.
Awesome. So to go back to CZW, in 2008, I believe it was, you was tag team champions with Eddie Kingston, and you also beat Gage for the world title to make you a dual champion. How was all of that?
Oh, man, Gage put me over the ECW arena. That was awesome. That was the first Tangled Web match that we did. As well. So, you know, incredible honor. You know, like, he's the man. And like, I'm fortunate I had several matches with Nick Gage. You know, the atmosphere in there with him was top notch. Teaming with Eddie Kingston, I think we were called the Suicide Kings. That was a lot of fun. Have a little tag team title run. I really think that that was towards 2010 when I teamed with Eddie Kingston. And I really think that 2010 CZW roster, it may get forgotten about, but that roster was stacked. Like, that was a great crew because we had, you know, I was there, Nick Gage was there, Nate Hatred, and then you had Moxley was there, Ego Fantastico, Scotty Vortex, Sammy Callahan, Danny Havoc, Masada.
A lot of guys that went on to get signed.
Yeah, Brain Damage, JC Bailey. I mean, you know, JC passed that year. Even a little bit that year before he passed, Trent Acid was there as well. I mean, like, it was – that 2010 crew. Oh, don't let me forget AR Fox, Rich Swan.
Yeah. Rich
Swan.
I mean?
Yeah, that crew.
CZW really, I mean, they carried it. I mean, all the way really up to 2014. Yep, it was a nice roster. I mean, and then after 2014, 2015, it kind of started to crumble, and now it's really crumbled.
Right. Yeah, you know, I was there 2006 to 2014. You know, just absolutely loved it. That 2010 roster, though, man, that was special. You know,
in 2010, there was an angle where you turned heel and went after Scotty Vortex, and you had a feud, right?
Yeah.
Was that a fun time? Was it a good thing to change? Did you have fun working as a heel?
It was fun having those matches with Scotty. Being a heel sucked. I didn't like it. It felt unnatural, but I was like, all right, I'll go with it. I'll give it a shot. Had some cool matches. You know, the Tangled Web match was cool. And everything. So it was a great experiment. But I mean, in that environment, CZW, it was just natural for me to be a babyface, I guess. But hey, you know, whatever the company needed, I'd do it.
Right. No doubt.
Oh wow, Dustin Lee, 2007. Look at that. Look at those young kids. Danny Havoc in the background. Man, that day was TOD, what is that? TOD 6. Yeah, that was an awesome tournament. Very good. Scotty Vortex and Danny Havoc had a first round match that stands the test of time. Like, top notch first round match, Danny Havoc versus Scotty Vortex. They always had really great matches.
Hell yeah. This is a
Yeah,
good question here from Alec Ball. How was it working with J.C. Bailey and Necro Butcher, and who is your favorite to work out of the two?
oh man, I can't see. It's two different types of matches. JC, it was going to be slick. You're going to have some really innovative spots and stuff. Necro was just the smartest man like to ever grace the ring. But you knew like he was, especially at that time, he was like the big badass, and he still is in a sense, the aura that he has. So it was going to be more of a fight, with Necro
Right.
Butcher, but the atmosphere was going to be. I love working with both of them. Absolutely. I mean, Necro in Cage of Death 2006, whatever. I think it was Cage of Death 8, maybe. Necro Butcher really he made me that night. He put me over clean in the middle of the ring, sold out ECW arena, Cage of Death, singles match, 1-on-1, Ultraviolet Underground title. Didn't have to do that. He did. And that really solidified me, and I'll never forget that. So I love having matches with both of them, but it's two different matches.
Right.
If you ever see those two wrestle each other, man, they beat the crap out of each other.
Right. And I really always love those like battle of styles,
Yep.
whenever you take a deathmatch guy or a high flyer, a deathmatch guy and a non-deathmatch guy, or like a straight shoot kind of guy and a high flying kind of guy. Those are my favorite kind of matchups.
Yeah, Necro has to be Necro versus Low Key, Necro versus Roderick Strong. Those are always good. Like Corporal Robinson versus Samoa Joe, stuff like that. Those are always fun.
See, Tim Sissel says, do you remember the IPW mini gathering we did, the 12-man fans bring the weapon deathmatch battle royal?
Wow, vaguely, but I remember it happening. Those are the old days. Yeah, I did have a big Juggalo phase back in like 2000, 2002.
Right, that's why Vic probably loved you so much.
Yeah. We would go to the gatherings and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll never forget when ICP was they came to IWA Mid-South at the Sweet Science 16 tournament in 2001. That eventually became the TPI. But yeah, Vic always had his Atlanta Hawks jersey. So, yeah, that was cool.
That. It's awesome. So somebody just commented a second ago and said you almost lost a nipple, a thumb, and an ear. So I was going to talk about IWA Deep South. Did you only work for them once?
Oh no, I worked for them several times. That's those all three of those injuries happened in 2007. Like I said, like I told you earlier. So
the ear was that Carnage cut, correct?
Yeah, with wax. But got it stitched up. I also went to the hospital in Germany that year after a match with Thumbtack Jack. Other than that, I didn't wrestling. It was all in 2007. But that year, I almost lost a thumb, an ear, and a nipple, and it had a big hole in my head as well. So, yeah, in that time, man, like I put all my eggs in the basket. Me and Scotty, we rented a studio apartment. We put all our eggs in the basket of wrestling. We would go to the college computer lab because his girlfriend was a student there, so we had the password. So we would go there and get our bookings and our plane tickets. And we were eating Spam and just living week to week, doing like rock and roll independent wrestlers. You know what I mean? So it paid off, and I'll never forget that. We had a studio apartment. I slept on an air mattress on the floor.
Man,
paying dues, bro.
Yeah. So the thing on your head, was that the clip, like the real famous clip where you would squirt blood on camera or whatever?
No, that was another time.
That was another time. Okay. See, people have commented all leading up to this saying that's like one of the biggest moments in deathmatch history. This is probably it here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This is I want to say 2009.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that was nothing too serious.
2010. Sorry. That's 2010. Me and Brain Damage. I think it was Taipei Deathmatch. That's. I'm sure you've heard this term quite a bit. I hit the proverbial gusher there, my friend.
That's right. Yeah, that's one of those clips that have gotten shown forever on every deathmatch highlight reel. That'll be shown always.
Very cool. Very cool.
So fast forward now a little bit, we'll go to like 2013, 2014. That's actually when I started going to shows. All this other stuff I've had to research and watch and all that. So I started watching you 2013, IWA Mid South. You had some shows at the Colgate gym.
Yeah,
I think you worked with like Christian Rose, some guys like that.
yeah,
Pretty good matches there. And then
yeah. I think I wrestled
2014, you
Trick
started your
Davis there
farewell,
once.
right? Yeah, Trick Davis, Chris Hero was
Yeah.
around a little bit,
Oh yeah,
so
those are fun shows.
yeah, that was whenever I got to see you. Then your
Cool.
farewell tour starts. You
Yep.
you go CZW, you farewell, winning Best of the Best, which is, I mean, that's a perfect farewell, great moment.
That was cool, man. That was really cool.
That's really
And,
awesome.
man, just capping off that, that CZW career. TOD and Best of the Best, world
Right.
titles, junior heavyweight title, tag title. So incredible run. And I got to wrestle Biff Busick that night, who went on to become Oni Lorcan in WWE. So every time we see each other at TV, oh wow, look at that. Man, look at that youngster. Look at that youngster. But yeah, Oni Lorcan, every time at TV, he'd be like, bro, remember Best of the Best? So yeah, it was fun, man. It was great last couple months of being in independent wrestling at that time.
Right. And then your farewell for IWA Mid South. I was at this one. A lot of people don't even know of this incident. So I've always wanted to talk about this. So you have your farewell speech. Apparently Jeff Jarrett doesn't get paid. Your farewell speech gets interrupted by Karen Jarrett.
Yep.
Just a crazy moment. I'm just a little kid just thinking, what the hell is happening here? You don't
have video of that, do you? I've never seen it.
No, I don't think anybody has. Like, whenever I bring it up to anybody, they're like, I don't even know that happened.
I don't even know if I'm sure that was edited out of the DVD, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was.
I wrestled BJ Whitmer. I don't even know if they make DVDs anymore. It's whatever the streaming service is. But I'm so old now. But yeah, I wrestled BJ Whitmer that night, and it was my last, second to last weekend in wrestling as an independent wrestler. And then it was in Indiana, so all my family was there. It was really good turnout. Had this match with BJ, who I always looked up to, and
great match.
Fun match. Yeah, great match. It went awesome. And then, Ian had gracious words to say about me, and I grabbed the microphone and just, thank the fans and just kind of give a little sentimental moment. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and again, I've gotten to know Jeff through our time with WWE, and much different person. I don't know what they were going through at the time, but Jeff Jarrett, an amazing man. Obviously his career speaks for itself.
I mean, if he didn't get paid, he didn't get paid.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be mad.
Yeah. Karen came out and she was like, her and Ian were arguing. I mean, in the arena, it's loud. They're arguing loud enough where you can hear it, and they're out here. They're coming out to the ring, and she gets by the ring, and I'm frozen. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I didn't want to be rude. And so, I gave her the microphone. I don't even remember what she said. Something about Ian not paying Jeff. I don't know. Ian's trying to
piece of shit scumbag, this and that.
Yes.
And yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Yes. All that stuff.
Yeah, but I just remember being there, and this is 2014, so I'm 14 years old, maybe something like that.
Yeah. So she gave the microphone back to me, and I think I was just okay, thank you, ma'am. You have a nice evening. And then I just went on about
yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was. I guess some stuff happened backstage. It all worked out eventually. I think everybody got paid. I know I got paid that night, so it was all good. But yeah, interesting moment. And unless you were one of the few hundred people there that night, you don't even know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I talk about it at all these shows all the time. I brought it up very often, and everybody's just like, I had no idea. It's one of those things you just had to be there, I guess.
Oh yeah. Right. Karen interrupted my farewell speech.
Man, oh man. So then, off to WWE you go. Let's talk about that a little bit. How did that come about?
Yeah, so uh, I made the decision between, myself, my wife. We had our second child on the way, and I'd done everything that I really wanted to do in deathmatch wrestling, and I still, had this itch to keep going at it, and she wasn't comfortable with it anymore, and I was coming home all bloody and beat up, and like, man, I'm having a family now. I was like, look, let me put the death matches away, and let me just focus on straight up wrestling, technical wrestling, hardcore, whatever you want to call it. And then so I reached out to WWE about getting. I was living in California at the time, about getting an opportunity as an extra talent, and I got a phone call, said, hey, come to Raw and SmackDown in Sacramento and San Jose, wear a suit, be there by 2:00. I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is awesome. I get to come to Raw and SmackDown. And then Ryback was doing the bully gimmick at the time. And Moxley was already there. He was already at WWE at the time. So I, knew him. I knew Brody Lee, obviously, God rest his soul. They selected me to do this spot with Ryback where he threw me over a table, and I was like, man, I got this one shot. I'm just gonna try to take the sickest bump that I can. So I took this ass over tea kettle bump over the table and landed on my head on the concrete. And we did it live to tape there, and it ended. And I remember Triple H came over, was like, oh, hey man, you okay? Like, oh, hell of a bump, good job. And I was like, oh, sweet. It's like, boss saw that. That's awesome. Didn't think nothing of it. I was like, all right, cool, man. I got to take a bump on SmackDown. Not bad for an old deathmatch guy. And so a couple weeks later, I got an email saying I was getting a tryout at the new Performance Center. I was like, oh, wow, I get to go. Man, I'm getting a WWE tryout. It's awesome. So I went there, and I was in great, I've always tried to, once I got clean and sober and all that, I really focused on getting in shape. And so I was in good shape, and I've stayed in shape ever since. But did the 3-day tryout, went well. At the end, William Regal pulled me to the side. He's like, hey, look, you're all scarred up and cut up. You beat your body up with all these Japan death matches and stuff. He goes, look, we could bring you in as a wrestler. You might have a nice short little run. He goes, but I think you'd be more beneficial for you to be a referee. Was this something? Would you be interested in pursuing that? And there wouldn't be any spotlight on you, but you'd be contributing a lot, and steady income. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I was like, wow, this is like God's just putting this right in front of me. Yeah, there I am. It's my first match as a referee, scared to death.
Were you upset with that decision at all?
Pardon?
Were you upset with that decision at all to take the route of the referee?
Nope, not at all. I was incredibly gracious, very happy, and it to me it was a challenge. It was a challenge to learn something. Okay, I've done this deathmatch wrestling for 8 years. I've been wrestling for 12 years or whatever. It's like, so now let me take what I've learned there, and now let me just do all that I can to be the best referee that I could possibly be. And I want to be the guy that's dependable in that role. And so I took it as a challenge to learn something entirely new. And yeah, man, it went fantastic. I had a great 7 years there. Got to be a part of WrestleMania, many WrestleManias, with Triple H and Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon, pretty marquee prime spot. Yeah, look at that. Not bad for a, king of the death matches. Not too bad. Right. I took part in 35 takeovers, NXT takeovers. So, got to be part of event matches, right? Incredible times and rosters. And I took a lot of pride in my work as a referee. And, I had the honor of being requested, quite a bit for certain matches. Learned a lot of other aspects in television and outside of the ring that I never thought I would have learned. So, no, man, I was very, very happy to be a referee. It was awesome.
Right. That's great. Would you say the Ronda Rousey and Triple H was your best moment in WWE?
I think it's my biggest moment. I think my favorite match that I had there was NXT. It was TakeOver Brooklyn in 2016. It was DIY, which is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Revival. Just a sweet tag team match. Those two teams, especially the Revival, they really knew how to use the referee and make the referee a part of the match, but where he's not taken away from the match. legitimately manipulate the referee to where they're cheating. And it was just
Right.
cool. Just five parts coming together in this, sold out crowd, Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York. It was just an incredible match. And I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin did a podcast, and he talked about the match, and he even took a moment to, put over my work as a referee. So I thought that was cool that he noticed that enough to show his appreciation for my work as a ref. So, no, man, it was, I think that was my favorite match. But my biggest moment is obviously the WrestleMania match.
Right. Yeah. That's got to be an ideal moment, or a surreal moment, rather, I guess I should say.
Yeah, man. That was awesome.
Awesome stuff. So we're coming up on about an hour.
Oh,
One
wow.
thing I wanted
Time's
to
flying.
bring up, yeah, it's flying by. And one
Yeah.
thing I wanted to bring up, a funny photo, and I'm going to have Mike pull it up. You was basically pranked by one of the GCW guys, Joey Janela. Did you realize that Joey Janela was that guy in that photo?
Of course. My God, of course. And no, he didn't prank me. So, yeah. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I was at the school board meeting, Joey pulling his gimmick, whatever he was trying to pull. I saw him come in from across the room. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Joey freaking Janela, dressed up like a redneck. Holy cow! So he sat down, and I went over across the room and sat down next to him. And, hey, Joey, how you doing, bud? Look, I know Joey has a completely different outlook on life than I do. That's fine. So be it. Ever since he was, he started coming around back in the day when I was there. Look, I always appreciated his work ethic, and in wrestling, that's what it should be. Whenever, like I said, when you cross those doors, it's about your work ethic. It's about how hard you work. If you love the business, you respect the business. Doesn't matter if you're liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat. Doesn't matter. You love the business. You love the business. All that stuff is outside. So,
Right.
Hey,
Like
look,
you said, you go in and you do business.
Right. Did it kind of bother me that he took a serious situation that is very near and dear to a lot of people, in my county, that we were advocating for parental choice as far as taking the mandatory masks off the kids? Hey, sure. But he took a moment to make a gimmick out of it. That's the wrestling thing to do. The important thing is the mask mandate got lifted off the kids. I saw Joey, and he's like, hey, can I take a picture? I was like, sure, man, let's do it. So took a picture. It is what it is. Look, no ill will towards Joey, man. He lives his life how he wants to. I'm going to live my life on how God's will has for me. And look, I've texted him a time or two, just let him know, hey, man, you ever need anything? I'm right down the road. It's all good, bro.
Meeting started with typical announcements, but the mood shifted once public comment began, when dozens of people, many parents, some not, unleashed complaints over masks.
I'm just frustrated.
One man left after an outburst. Some who spoke threatened they'd pull their kids out of school.
There it was. Joey Janela.
He almost got tased by the Seminole County Sheriff because he got up and made a scene, right, to cause a little ruckus. And the sheriff she had her hand on her taser. I was like, oh crap, man, Joey's about to get tased. So he got out of there though.
Great question by Mike Watson, and that's what I was about to start getting into. If there would be a Naptown Dragon reunion, would you work?
Well, yeah. Oh, absolutely. For sure. And I'm still doing some wrestling stuff here and there. I've done everything that I've wanted to do. I'm not diving back into it. Oh wow, that was cool. Great picture. I'm not diving back into it fully. I'm doing some work with Daily Wrestling here in Florida, and I ran a benefit show to benefit victims of human trafficking in Central Florida. That was a great turnout as well. So I'm doing it. I'm going to work for Dysfunction in Milwaukee.
Is that still on? I was about to ask about that.
Yeah. September the 24th, I think it is. I'm really excited.
I had the date wrong, and I thought it was August 24th, and I hadn't seen anything about it for a while, so I thought it was like canceled.
No, September 24th.
Makes more sense.
Yeah. So I'm doing some stuff here and there. I have a lot going on in my life. I have 3 kids. I've started a new a new career, a new business venture. Man, just so I'm gone in the morning from 8. I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning every morning. Have my coffee, read my Bible, work out, do the gym, kiss the babies, and go off to work, man. And I don't come back home until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Doing interviews, and I've started launching a podcast, Uncanceled Podcast on the Realm Network. And then also, I'm highly involved locally in my local community, in the civic engagement, in the public square, running for state representative. So, look, I got a lot going on, and but when it makes sense, I certainly, as much as I say, oh, I'm not going to wrestle again, I get in the ring and I have fun and I love it. Wrestling's always going to be a part of it. It is. Now it's not like I don't have burdens. I'm not handcuffed to it. When I do it, I want to give back. And I want to have fun. Just a couple weeks ago in Daily Wrestling, I wrestled a young cat named Luke Curtis. Had a really fun match, man. He's somebody to watch out for. Got a little wild, and it was awesome. So getting the opportunity to kind of drop some knowledge on some guys and gals, and have some fun. And like I said, fortunately, I've always stayed in shape. Even when I was reffing, I always worked on my conditioning. So whenever I had my first couple matches back after 7 years, by the grace of God, I didn't miss a beat. It's and I'm a lot smarter now as far as what I do in the ring. So it's awesome, man.
Right. Another accolade I wanted to talk about, it came in 2016 while you were actually signed. The CZW Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah. The WWE let me. They flew me out for that. That's right. Yeah, that was cool.
So that was something that you had to get approved and the whole 9 yards, right?
Think of this: DJ Hyde emailed WWE actually, and they got the approval. It was awesome, man. That was really fun to go back that night. I remember just seeing all the people that were there, and Era Fox and Joey Janela was there. It was cool to see him that night. People that have really, Leo Rush was there. People that have gone on to make a great name for themselves. It was cool to come back home and take that honor of being inducted in the CZW Hall of Fame. So always proud of the work I did in CZW. And like I said, we had a really great crew.
No doubt.
I saw a comment. Somebody said, talk about the famous CZW cookies. Steve the cookie guy would bring cookies after every show. There would be a giant Tupperware of cookies in the back.
Man, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was Steve the cookie guy. It was all. And at the time, I certainly wasn't on the straight and narrow as it was now. So I didn't care what was in those cookies. Who knew what was in them? So
right.
it might have been, yeah. But no, it was a great time. Great time.
Well, I was curious if you followed today's death matches enough to answer this question. Who would you say today's death match Mount Rushmore would be?
I can't honestly say I follow it enough to give an accurate answer, but I'm certainly worthy of giving an opinion. Really all that I'll see, scroll through Instagram here and there and see clips. And it's not sour grapes about wrestling. I'm doing so much else. By the time I come home, I'm not watching 3 hours of wrestling. But I would say, I don't know who the Mount Rushmore is. I would say Alex Colon is freaking awesome. Alex Colon, that Drew Parker of Big Japan as well.
Yeah.
Nick Gage, obviously. There's so many guys. Some of the other guys I haven't seen a whole lot, but those three really stick out. It's hard to narrow it down. The guys are so talented. They're doing such innovative stuff, and it's kind of cool to see deathmatch. Hey, Chris Jericho, he's deathmatch guy now.
Right. Did you happen to see that match? Did you get to take the time to see Nick Gage on AEW?
I took the time to watch that. That was awesome.
Great moment for everybody. Yeah. It was just like deathmatch wrestling 1.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Oh gosh, Mance Warner. Mance Warner's great. Yeah. So,
I love old Manser. for sure.
Yeah, Mansour's great gimmick, great death match. So that's 4 guys that comes to the top of my mind. There's a lot more though, but
Yeah.
again,
I say it all the time that it's really hard, and then and on this page, it's what we do is try to rank this and rank that, and it's super hard right now because honestly, deathmatch wrestling has carried the indies for the past 2-3 years, at least with all the pandemic and all of that. Nobody else is really running, and deathmatch wrestling is really just taking off to the fullest. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
So if anybody else has any questions for Drake, we're gonna start wrapping some stuff up.
I got time for
pretty much got through everything I need to do.
Yeah, I got time for a couple more, and then I'm an old man. I got to get to bed.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to take no time. Like you say, you're a busy guy. I got the babies, so.
Good. Yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me on. It's good to talk some old school wrestling, and yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been a blast. So if you want to ask a question, we got time for just a few more.
Somebody says, any memories of the Ohio Hatchet match with JC? Yes, we did I'll briefly answer this. We did a 40 panes of glass match at Ohio Hatchet Wrestling. That was awesome. That is a forgotten gem. We had a scaffold in there too. That was a lot of fun. It was cool because we had so many panes of glass. We could just do like whatever move we wanted to, like into a pane of glass, body slam, pane of glass, suplex, pane of glass, side Russian leg sweep, pane of glass, neck breaker, pane of glass. Just like, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Got time for another question.
Appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate everybody for actually taking this shit seriously. There's been a lot of trolling on this leading up, and there ain't been a whole lot of bullshit on here. So I appreciate that from everybody.
When I take an interview for wrestling, especially for MDK, like, look, like I'm always going to be tied to deathmatch wrestling. Like, I'm proud of the work that I did in death matches. Like, it's always going to be, even when I was in WWE, even Triple H and those guys, it's a freaking deathmatch guy, all the dang scars on his head, blah, blah, blah. I was proud of that. Yeah, I loved the time that I spent in death. Am I ever going to do it again? No. But I absolutely loved what I did. Proud of it, and I'm proud of the blood that I spilled, and I'm proud of the guys that I worked with. There's a lot of guys that are no longer with us, and man, they help elevate deathmatch wrestling to the platform that it can be able to have today. And when I do these kind of interviews, am I involved in politics? Yes, I am. That gets put to the side, though. This isn't a political podcast. There's a different time and a place for this. This is one about wrestling, and that's solely what I'm talking about. So again, I don't pay attention to trolls. I don't pay attention to trolls. I know you guys have probably been trolled. People probably threatened to never watch your show again. So I appreciate
we've lost followers and all, man.
Yeah, that's great.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But talk about CZW Southern Violence. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. This isn't, politics are to the side. This is wrestling. CZW Southern Violence, real briefly. It was in Lumberton, North Carolina. It was a bought show, 52 paid people. Those 52 people got the most electric show ever, and it was the loudest 52 people I've ever wrestled in front of in my whole life. Me versus John Moxley versus Nick Gage. A sick light tube death match. I mean, we went hard. Like, it was like we weren't expecting. We were like, oh, we'll go out, we'll break a couple tubes, and we got up there, and the atmosphere was awesome. So we went all in. But yeah, I'll never forget. For deathmatch fans, will appreciate this. At a SmackDown taping one time, his empty arena, and Moxley, Ambrose at the time, he's sitting in the empty chairs like the guys would do before TV. Roman Reigns is sitting next to him, and he shows Roman Reigns clips of the Southern Violence death match with me, him, and Nick Gage, and Roman Reigns is like, man, y'all's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, Spencer's asked this question. It actually popped up earlier. Spencer's a good buddy of mine. He wanted to know about your time with PWG briefly. He mentioned the match with Sami Callihan where you were busted open, and asked what the difference was working a violent match in front of a rabid crowd that's not used to violence.
Yeah, that was the greatest, the best 2 years of my career, that 2 years that I spent there at PWG. Yeah, obviously they weren't used to that. They would have some hardcore matches, but they weren't used to, like, staple guns and thumbtacks and stuff like that. So the reaction was rabid. I think some people maybe thought it was too far. But me and Sammy, we were CZW guys to the core. So we kind of wanted to bring that style there, especially when it was built up to that level. But yeah, like the fans are like right up on the ring, and it's like 1 a.m. West Coast time. So it was, man, the energy was incredible. It was off the charts, but that match took a few years off me.
Yeah, you missed it, Shaq. He talked all about Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett and
Shaq, you missed
all
it.
that.
Ian, you give me my money, damn it. That's what they said to him. Yeah.
But all right, Drake, I actually got a friend that's showing up to my house, and you're ready to
Last
go, so
question
I
here.
appreciate you for your time.
Favorite CZW Tangled match, the tag team one that we did, me and Scotty versus John Moxley and Sami Callihan. Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Wow, we've gone over an hour. This is great. I really
appreciate it, man. It was a great
God bless
time,
you
and
guys.
maybe
Yep.
you could come through the comments whenever you get a free minute and maybe see if we missed anything.
Take care, guys. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Later.
Drake Younger, it's better than ever. I'm lean, I'm mean, I'm clean, I'm serene.
Getting fans riled, working the strong style. People stand up and chant loud when he walks down the aisle. 100% high for talent. Rappers on the mat, high flies and does death matches. Second time in TOT, exile, brain damage through the hard fist to the chin. Drew a gallon of ooze from the forehead. A short thread of skin blows in the wind. It's dangling, fierce lines smashing from the Drake's land. And you got both of your arms locked in. Like David Lynch in the race ahead. All the huge cuts make you produce a trend. The land gas meant for oxygen. Breathe it all in. Take a bump like Gage where the tubes are standing. The shit's insane when I'm parked at ringside. Drake met damage again at TOT 9. Many places, many federations he's appeared in. CZW in absolute intense wrestling. The king of Naptown, he has been crowned. From Philly to Japan, people stand in the crowd. Every match turns it up with suplex variations. Pushing limitations every time you're spectating. When he hit the scene, he was a hybrid sensation. Power slam through a table off of the apron. Him and JC Bailey pulled off moves that were amazing. Flapjack or a rolling fireman's carry slam. Even to this day, new gold he accumulates. Junior heavyweight, the latest title in his cage.